Well, hello there. Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about our book club book this month. That is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I apologize if my throat's a little scratchy. I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me a little bit on that. Just a reminder, December's book is The Terror by Dan Simmons. I just started it, well, a week ago maybe? I don't know, I'm like 150 pages in, so I'm plugging away. It's a long book, so I'm going to have to pick up the pace a little bit to get this done by the end of December, but I think I can do it. And you guys voted for the book that you wanted to read in January. I gave you a list of 5 books, and the one that you guys chose was Night Film by Marisha Pessl. It was super close. This one had 31% of the votes, and then the other one that was super close was Grady Hendrix' The Final Girl Support Group, which had 30% of the votes, and it was neck and neck. It kind of went back and forth for most of the month. There were 262 votes, which is awesome. So thank you guys for voting. So February is Black History Month, so I thought that we would read a book by a black author in February. So I chose 5 books. And I will put a poll up in the community tab. Just like always, you guys go and vote for the one that you want to read in February. So the books are Beloved by Toni Morrison, The Resurrectionist by Rath James White, The Good House by Tananarive Due, The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Lavelle, and then Fledgling by Octavia Butler. So yeah, go vote for the book that you want to read in February. And then also, join us on Discord to discuss all this stuff. I started the Discord a month ago maybe, and so there were some pretty good comments about this book. The terror discussion section has already been blowing up. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into our discussion about The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I'll start with a little kind of non-spoilery bit, and then I'll let you know when we're going to get into like more spoilery stuff. Yeah, I thought this book was really good. It was really interesting and weird, and it took me a little while for his writing style to click. I don't know what it was. Like, the way that he writes is just kind of odd, and I don't really know exactly how to describe it. At first, it kind of threw me off, but I eventually, once I kind of got used to it, like 50 pages in or whatever, I really started to enjoy the way that he was describing what was going on, and like visually how he was sort of framing the scene. And the other thing I really kind of thought was interesting was he doesn't like tell you directly what's going on. A lot of times he'll say what's happening in like a metaphor, and then you kind of have to figure out what's happening, or like he doesn't just tell you straight up what happens sometimes. And so it's kind of cool that you have to kind of be active and figure out what's going on your own. And I'm very interested to read more of his books, because this is the first book that I've read by Stephen Graham Jones. So this book is about 4 Native American guys. They were friends, and 10 years before this, they were on a hunting trip, and something happened on that hunting trip. You don't find out what happens until kind of later in the book, so I'm not going to talk too much about that, but it had to do with an elk. So then, 10 years later, they're being haunted kind of by the spirit of this elk. Or are they? It's very mysterious at first, and I can't really say much more than that. Essentially, this is a revenge tale. It's a tale about guilt. Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, that's my non-spoilery bit. Now I'm going to start talking about spoilery stuff. So again, if you haven't read the book and you want to, get out of here while you still can. So as we're going through the book, I think it was cool that the mystery of what actually happened wasn't revealed until, quite a ways in. It was like maybe towards the end of Lewis's story when he tells Shaney what happened. That we find out what happened on that hunting trip, and why he felt so guilty and was carrying around all that guilt, and why he was afraid that he was being haunted by this elk spirit or whatever. That was like 100 pages into the story, so at that point, we had well-established characters, and like I liked that we didn't know until later. Also with Lewis, until like the very end of his section in the book, I wasn't sure if what was going on was actually some sort of supernatural thing, or if it was just him going crazy, or what was going on. And then the other part was I thought Lewis was going to be like the main character of the story. I didn't realize that it was like four stories kind of mashed up. It's almost like four novellas or like four different kind of stories that are all tied back together by mutual, like they all have mutual relationships and things like that, and they have histories together. So when I was reading Lewis's, I was like, oh, I thought that he was going to be the guy through the whole book. Lewis, man, I thought he was just going crazy, and then, you know, he kills Shaney, and then he kills his wife, and I did not see that coming until a few pages before. Like, I knew something bad was going to happen, and I knew that he was going to do something crazy, but I just didn't expect it like the way that it happened until there was the part where he is showing Shaney the motorcycle, and he turns it on and he rips her scalp off. But like a page before that, he has this thought where he wants to tell her to put her hair up so that it doesn't get caught, but he doesn't tell her, he just thinks it. And at that point I was like, he's gonna kill her, he's gonna make it look like an accident, he's gonna kill her. And then of course he did, and that part was brutal and crazy. And then as soon as that happened, I was like, he's gonna kill his wife too, because what else? But again, at this point, I still thought he was crazy. I didn't think that there was actually like an elk spirit following him. I thought he was just like descending into this madness or whatever. I really liked his whole thing, and then like I said, I was a little surprised when he got gunned down at the end of that. And then the story started following these new characters. It was Cass and Gabe. But anyway, go back to Lewis for a second. So when his dog dies, gets all mashed up, someone stomps his dog to death, and he's like, I wonder who it was. And he finds his bloody ass boots. He thinks it's his wife at first, that she like stole his boots and went and killed their dog, like stomped their dog to death. I mean, I knew that wasn't true. I can't remember if it expressly said or not, but Lewis did that, right? Like in his sleep or something. Like he doesn't remember doing it, but he's the one that stomped his dog to death, right? I don't know if it was just implied or if it was expressly said in the story, but I have that feeling, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, but that's what I thought. He never says straight up that Lewis was the one that stomped his dog to death, but it's so heavily implied that it has to be that, right? Because who else would have done it? It was very strange when I read the like newspaper clipping thing in there, and it said that there was a dead baby deer in his car with him. And I was like, so that was real. That's when I was like, wait, this is an actual thing that is like following him. This isn't just his imagination, and it's not a ghost. It was weird. It was kind of cool how this elkhead woman kind of orchestrates this paranoia with the canister that had the money in it, and then she like hides the empty canister where Gabe will find it and then use it to drink the water, and then Cass then assumes that Gabe stole the money out of it when really it was in his pocket. I don't know. I can't remember exactly the events. It was a series of assumptions made by the characters that led to shooting the young man that was with them, Nate, I think was his name, and the death of his fiance or whatever when the car fell on her head. Oh my god, that was gross and crazy, and again surprised me. Both Shaney and Joe's deaths, the closest thing I can compare it to would be like a jump scare. Like it came out of nowhere in such a way that I was just so surprised by it, and I've never had something like that in a book before, but that's kind of what it was like, that I literally like gasped when it happened when I was reading it. So very effective. Kudos, Stephen Graham Jones. So they're all dead at the Sweat Lodge. So the next story has to do with Denora. That's Gabe's daughter, and she's like a really good basketball player, and she's got a big game or whatever, and then the Elkhead woman shows up and like wants to fight her, even though she promised Gabe that she would not go after his daughter. But of course, she does, because she's after revenge. I thought the basketball game was a little weird. I didn't quite understand the point of it. The basketball game went on for a very long time. It was fine. I mean, it was reading about a basketball game. I didn't love that part. Denora, is finally figures out what's going on, that this person is not a person, that this person is a spirit that's chasing her, that wants to kill her. She's kind of saved by, he's a cop, he was there at the sweat lodge, but he wasn't in the sweat lodge, he was just feeding him hot rocks. I can't remember his name, but we thought he was dead, but he's not. He came out of the porta potty all injured and stuff, and like distracts the Elkhead woman long enough for Denora to run away. He gets killed by the Elkhead woman, and kind of Deus-y a little bit, especially because that same-ish thing happens again. We see another person that we presumed was dead or saw die come back and save the day, and the young man who was shot, and then we thought he got trampled by horses, but he apparently didn't, or if he did, he not bad enough to kill him. Denora meets up with him, he's all injured and stuff, but he's on a horse, and she like tells him to go get help, and he does, and he saves the day. Which again, a little Deus-y, and especially the fact that happened twice. I can forgive the guy we thought was dead is really not, and he comes and he helps and sacrifices himself, and then he really is dead at that point. Like it's a trope, it's a kind of a cliche, but whatever. If it happens once, then fine, I'm okay with it. But it happened twice in the final like 50 pages of the book, so I was like, ugh, it was kind of annoying to me. Like the author couldn't think of a different way for Denora to get away. So anyway, so Nate goes and gets help from town. Her dad or something comes and then saves her. It was a very strange story. It was told through a lot of different perspectives. It was told in a way that was ambiguous as to what was really happening versus what was in their heads going on versus what this elk was doing. So I thought it was very interesting. Very, very good book. The other thing I thought that was kind of weird was there were a couple of chapters where you'd be reading and it'd be in one person's perspective, and then all of a sudden it would jump to second person perspective, and it would be talking about the Elkhead woman and like referring to the Elkhead woman as like you. So it'd be like, you are blah 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 blah, you are doing this and that, saying that to the Elkhead woman. And I thought that was really weird. Like, it took me out of it for a second, and like the first time it happened, I was like, who's he talking about? And then I figured it out, but like it was just really kind of cool and weird, and I had never seen that kind of perspective shift in a book. Yeah, it was odd, but I kind of liked it. I thought it was effectively done, so that was cool. Again, I really liked this. I don't really have much more to say. I thought it was really cool. Kind of weird ghost revenge story. It was really, really strange, but really good. Now I want to do something a little different than what I normally do. I'm going to go onto the Discord, I'm going to look at some of the comments that were there, and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so Jazz Dog says, I have been done with Indians for a few weeks. I did not enjoy it. One of the main problems was the narration. Curious if anyone feels this way. The author used long run-on sentences with way too many clauses. It is ridiculous how long some of these sentences are. I would have been okay if he used that style for just the first part of the book, the first character, but no, the little girl has the same voice, the old lady has the same voice. I found it pretentious by the end, as if he's trying to trick us into thinking he's a better writer than he is because he found the comma key on his keyboard, on his computer. Not sure I could sit through another one of his books. That's kind of, I guess, what I was getting at when I was talking about his writing, and it was odd at first, but I did get used to it. I can see why you wouldn't like it, and I understand your criticism for sure. After a while, I kind of got used to it. I kind of liked the way that it flowed. I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, I mean, apparently not everyone likes it. Anthony L. says, not sure about all the basketball. I mean, all the references throughout the story is one thing. Dude must like basketball to have it so interspersed throughout the book. But this detailed play-by-play at the end, it's a little long. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Stephen Graham Jones must like basketball a lot, because it is. It's not just that last section. They play basketball all the time in this book. So, I don't know. I didn't hate it most of the time. It was short little sections, except for that long section at the very end where they played basketball for like 30 pages. But Alex Horn says, freakiest part of the whole book for me was when Lewis finds his dog hanging by the collar over the fence in his backyard. When I was a little kid, the same thing happened with my dog, so when I read that part, I had to put the damn book down and calm myself a bit. It was an unexpectedly real moment for me. Yeah, that part was really upsetting for me too. Nothing like that has ever happened to me, but I immediately just thought about my dog and what I would do if I came home and saw that, and I had to have a moment too. It's pretty brutal, and if you've ever had a dog, then you know how devastating something like that would be. So yeah, that was pretty tough. Thanks everyone on Discord for talking and chit-chatting about this beforehand. Thanks to everyone who posted comments on the previous video. It's awesome. So the channel for The Terror is open on Discord if you guys want to go talk about it. There's a non-spoiler one for people who haven't finished the book yet. I also created a channel for spoilers if you want to talk about it there. I have not finished the book yet, so I won't be in that channel. I won't be responding to any posts or commenting in there until I've finished it. But anyway, yeah, and I'm going to make channels for Night Film. I think that's pretty much all I've got to say about this. So again, please go vote in the poll for February's book, and leave a comment or whatever, and come join us on Discord. That'd be awesome. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.